Oh, hello everybody. How are you? Ken Oliver here. Welcome to my demo time during the one-of-a-kind craft along today. If you're just joining now, I'm going to give y'all a couple minutes to join in. And I'd also like to say, just remind you that I did not have a kit this week. I'm going to sit down and do some demos and basically kind of just like show you some cool stuff. I hope you'll be inspired because I know you need a little bit of a mental break. I need a bit of a mental break. The holidays are just finished. And I thought it would be fun just to sit down and show some demos of how to use some mediums together and some stencils together without really having like the pressure of having to get a class done real quick. And I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. All the best in 2023. I hope it's a fantastic year for you. I'm gearing up for a banner year. And thank you for the birthday wishes. My birthday was yesterday, and oh my gosh, like all day, well, all this whole week, like the birthday wishes have just been blowing up my Facebook pages. So thank you so much. And I wanted to let you know that I have two birthday weekend specials. And these are mystery specials, mystery grab bags, if you will. So the first one has 5 stencils, and their retail value is $35.99, and it is on sale now for $24.99. And it's going to be 5 grab bag stencils picked at random. There's a 12x12, a 6x6, a slimline 4x9, a 6x9, and also a 4x4. And it can be anything. I've got all kinds of stencils like you wouldn't believe to go in there. And I'll probably throw in a couple of extras just because I appreciate you. And then the mystery grab bag extra is an extra big grab bag. And it's going to have in it, I think it's 8 or 9 stencils. And the retail value there is $65.99. And it's on sale for $39.99. So it's a really good value. And you'll get at least 8 or 9 stencils, and I'll throw in some extras just because I appreciate you. So I'm super excited about what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to really show you some ways to use some mediums that you might not have used before by mixing some things together and to get something that's new and different and beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera down on my work table and do me a favor, say hi when you join in. Let me know where you're watching from. I always appreciate that. And it just occurred to me that I forgot to bring my iPad in, so I can't field any questions live today, but I'll try to get back to them in the comments if I see that there are questions. So let's get started. I hope you're having a great day. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Audrey. Yeah, Missouri isn't too far from me. And I used to live in Texas, Audrey. I lived in Fort Worth for a long time, and I loved it there. Hey, Mary Beth. How are you? Thank you. Thank you, Denise. All right, so now we got that down. And in my promo video, I promised that we would get out some tropical colors today because I'm feeling in a tropical mood. You know, like I'm sure everybody like was affected by this, but like that big snowstorm that was right before Christmas. And dude, like the cold weather really kind of got to me. So I wanted to get out some beautiful tropical colors today. And we're going to get out some stencil butters. I'm going to use some crimson and some marigold and this new color apricot, and we're going to mix that together with some light and fluffy modeling paste to create an ombre effect of all of these colors. And mixing it with some light and fluffy will lighten these butters up, and it will also give us more pastel colors because this is very white. So I'm just going to mix those up and then apply them through a stencil that's a new stencil, fairly new to me, called Banana Leaves. And so this is like one of those stencils that will give you that tropical feeling. Oh, it's so beautiful. And I'll tell you that I already kind of have in my mind that I'm going to cut this down to make it an A2 card. So first we're going to make an ombre background, but it's not going to dry in time for today. So I'm going to save that piece and cut it down and make an A2 card. And you can catch me doing that at Ken Oliver Crafts on Facebook. And it'll be live probably sometime this week. I'll make an announcement about it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got a piece of white cardstock, and I've got my banana leaves stencil. And we're going to mix up a bit of custom color to give us an ombre look. So I'm going to start with, and I'm just going to mix on my table paper here. Got that beautiful light and fluffy modeling paste. If you haven't used this yet, it's pure magic. It's sheer magic. And in fact, you can use it for a lot of different things. It's a modeling paste, but it's whipped. And it also has something that makes it a little like texture-y. And I got a bunch of bottle brush trees to go with my Putz House Villages for Christmas. And most of the bottle brush trees I have are vintage, but these are new. And I figured out that I can take this light and fluffy and put my bottle, like dust it on my bottle brush trees and sprinkle it with glitter, and it gives it a really beautiful, like vintage sheen. So I'm going to use some light and fluffy on my vintage, or on my new bottle brush trees, on my new trees, to make them look like they're vintage. Now I'm going to put my cap back on. And I will go ahead and tape this down just so we don't slide around, because we are going to be changing between colors a little bit. And so I do not want to slide my stencil anywhere. And I am going to take just one quick second to look at my camera to make sure that we're still on, because usually I have my iPad and I can tell. Thank you. Yeah, I love bright, warm colors like orange and red, especially during this time of the year. Now, luckily where I live today, it's very sunny, but we've had some days, like we've had some really, really gloomy, cloudy days recently. Like I think we had, I'm not even, like probably like 10 days in a row with no sun. Now I'm going to take just the smallest amount of crimson stencil butter and mix into this light and fluffy. And you'll see it's just a tiny little bit. This is going to give us a really pretty pink look. Almost like carnation. And you see like this, the amount that I put on there was really like about the size of a black-eyed pea. I hope you ate your black-eyed peas for New Year's. I did. And I hope to have good luck all year long. And I'm just going to apply this over the stencil. And what we're going to do is like gently blend into the next color, which is going to be this marigold. And since I know that I'm going to be using all these different mediums today, I went ahead and made myself a stencil bath. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. I can already tell. I don't know, like everybody has their way of dealing with the winter doldrums or the winter blues. One thing that I like to do is I like to go for a walk when I can. And I try to go, like every evening, but getting out in the sunshine, or even if you're in the cloudy weather, really helps you get some of that vitamin D. And the other thing that I love to do is I'm a plant dad. I have lots and lots of plants, and I love to care for my plants. So that's another thing that I can be inside and take care of my plants. And even though it's cold and dreary outside, I still have a little bit of that tropics inside. Now, you can see that I got just a tiny bit of that marigold. So I'm going to mix that in with that light and fluffy. And that's going to give us kind of a pastel orange, almost like orange sorbet. And I'm not going to mix it all the way because I want it to have kind of that ombre look, especially when we go and start blending into the crimson. Pretty. And the next color we're going to pull in is some of this gorgeous apricot. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to mix a little bit of this light and fluffy paste. And just a tiny bit of apricot. And I've been using about the size of a pea. I probably need to use even less, because I want it to be almost pastel. Yeah, that's kind of getting it right there. So, it's kind of pastel, and it has like little striations of white in it. So I told you my idea for this is to cut this piece up and make an A2 card. So with this striation across it, it could be a happy birthday card. It could be a thinking of you card. It could be have a nice day card. But just look at that beautiful look. And we've captured the look of a gorgeous tropical sunset for real. That's so pretty. Now, like I've got a vivid imagination. So to me, like right away, we captured that look of, I'll bring it up to the camera so you can see a little better. See how like it fades from that, I'll turn it over so you can look at it this way. That beautiful crimson down into that marigold, into the apricot. It looks like a tropical sunset. And the cool thing is, since we blended it with the light and fluffy, it's very light. It doesn't add, like weight to your paper or anything. It's very minimal. And when this is dry, we can cut this with a paper trimmer, just like you would regular cardstock. So I'm going to lay that aside because I don't want to mess it up. And I want to keep it very, very neat because I love how that looks. And I think that will make a beautiful card. And I've got the perfect color of coral cardstock to go on the back side of that. Now, I've got a piece of plain cardstock here, white cardstock, and I've got all these pretty colors left on the side. And I'm going to make just a piece of paper here with all my leftovers. And you're probably thinking like, what in the world? And really what this is going to let me do though is I can create a belly band or a mat for anything that I want to put on that card front with what I'm doing here. So it's almost like I'll have like custom colored cardstock or custom colored piece that will match exactly what we've just put on that card front. And that way I'm also not wasting any. Because let's face it, we pay a lot for our craft supplies and you don't want to waste anything. Now I'm going to grab some of that crimson and make some stripes. Ooh, and that looks like a big raspberry right in there. Ooh, that's so pretty. And you might think this is kind of messy, but just look at the result. That is so nice. And when we cut this out to match like our sentiment or anything that we're going to put a belly band on this, look how pretty those are going to be together. Or that could even be our background mat. So I'm going to make this into a project this week on Facebook Live at Ken Oliver Crafts So make sure that you're watching my page so you can get updates on what I'm going to make that into. And since I'm working on, I've just laid down some paper, some craft paper. This isn't going to be as messy as you think, because when I'm done with this, I can just pick it up and put it away. Now, I want to clean my palette knife before I get onto my next little demo. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll try to get to them afterwards. I do have some things planned for later today. I'm running a care package over to my parents. My parents have been sick with the flu A, since literally the week before Christmas. And they've both been really, really down with it. So if you are the praying kind or the good vibe sending kind, I'd appreciate any good vibes you could send our way, because they have not enjoyed this at all. Okay, so now, since we're kind of like on a tropical thing, I've got another piece of white cardstock that I'm going to use. It's already cut to 6x6, and a stencil that just makes me so happy in the wintertime. It's called Tropical Fronds, and you can see that I've used this a few times. But it's got all the things that I love to grow, and I have a bunch of these even growing on my sun porch right now. Bird of Paradise, Ginger, Monstera delicosa. A lot of people are growing that right now. And this is a queen palm. My monsteras are so interesting. And I don't know if you follow me on Facebook or on Instagram. My Monstera delicosas right now are about 6 feet tall. And they started in the fall of 2020. I had two that were basically 3-leaf cuttings, and now they're like 6 feet tall. And I have to like keep them pruned back a bit and keep them manicured, because if I don't, I think they would take over my whole house. They're that crazy and that big. So we're going to use a kind of a similar technique to what we just did with mixing light and fluffy, but I'm going to mix it this time with some color sparks. And that's going to give us also like some really beautiful striations and variations in the greens that we mix. So I'm going to grab a couple of, or a little spoonful here, a spoonful of light and fluffy. I always put my lid back on after I use something, because one, I want to always get the right lid back on that right jar, and two, I don't want my stuff to dry out. Now I'm going to grab some color sparks, and if you haven't used these before, they're so much fun. It's powdered watercolor. It's watercolor, but it's in a powder form. So it's microfine. You can mix it with other mediums, or you can mix it with water to make watercolor. And I'm going to take a tiny bit of lime green. They come in, there are 18 colors, and they come in packs of 3. We created these color packs of 3 so that you have colors that always look well together, look good together. And I've got a little bit of olive green. I'm going to just get that. And then I'm going to mix these together. See how that gives you that striation? So pretty. So I'm going to put a little bit of that down. Again, I'm not going to really have any kind of like method to my madness, other than I'm just randomly going to apply some, because I want to have like different variations of color so that it will look like that light is shining down on my leaves. Then I've got that olive green. I'm going to mix a little bit of that olive green with that light and fluffy. And I'm going to take that and then apply that randomly over the areas where, now I've used this stencil before, but I've never, and we had a class on this in the past, but I didn't show you this technique. The class that we had, we sprinkled and spritzed this and made it into a beautiful tropical scene. So that will also show you that if you have the stencil from the past, there's more than one way to use it. You can mix that light and fluffy modeling paste with color sparks to get some really new and different looks. So I'll lift that up and look how pretty that is. We have that beautiful pastel look. And just looking at that really like raises my happiness level because it looks like tropical leaves. And if we put this on a background, say that was like, we'll just use this one that we just created. If we matted it onto this, look how stunning that is. Isn't that beautiful? And when you give a card like this, really like it says, you know, that it shows that you use your skill and your artistic abilities to create something that's really, really beautiful. Now I'm going to check in on the backside of my camera real quick to make sure that we're still hanging out and everything is all good. Dude, I love this. You know what? This would also be beautiful matted on a gold mat. That would be so pretty. It would look beautiful on black too. Okay, good deal. Hey, Wilma, how are you? Hi, Diane, how are you? Yes, the stencils clean up with water with the mediums that I'm using. They're like if you were using permanent inks or you were using other, mediums, it would be, like a little bit challenging to clean them up. But since we're using the paste, it's water soluble. And I'm using, somebody just asked a question, what kind of paste are you using? I'm using light and fluffy modeling paste from the Crafters Workshop. And I'm also mixing that with stencil butters from the Crafters Workshop and with color sparks. Yeah, and you can get that modeling paste at KenOliverCrafts.com. I've got the modeling paste, I've got all the stencil butters and palette knives. I've got card bases and more stencils than you can imagine. And make sure to take advantage of that Ken's birthday surprise because it is a grab bag of stencils that retails for $35.99 or $34.99. I'm not sure. But it's like a $65 value, which is a great thing. Now, you know what? I've got some of that pretty green left, and I love the way that all looked together. I'm going to take my palette knife and just scrape that onto a piece of white cardstock so that I can make a background for something else that I want to make this week. I always like to make backgrounds like this because this is like a paper that you can't buy anyplace. It's an original. And who would like to get an original work of art in a card? So that'll be something I'll save to use later. Now, another thing that I'm going to show you today is some blending and some mixing. And especially since Valentine's Day is coming up, you might be thinking about making a masculine card. I've got a little steampunk stencil that I know you're going to love. This is called Little Gears. It's from the Crafters Workshop. You can get it at KenOliverCrafts.com. The item code is TCW 262S. And I've had this in my inventory and I never listed it. I just had it, but I never listed it. So I just listed, so it's new to the website today. You can do amazing things with it. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to create a little bit of a background using 3 stencil butters, turquoise, copper penny, and gold. And I'm going to do that without the stencil on it. And this will be just like we did with the backgrounds that we just made with the butters. We're just going to just apply a little bit of that on with a palette knife. And I want to do this light enough so that you can see some of the black through the colors I'm putting down. I'm putting down champagne gold, turquoise, and copper. And I've chosen these colors for a very specific reason. This gold and this copper are going to look like rust when they kind of get blended on this black paper. And this is going to look, you know how copper turns kind of green whenever it oxidizes? That's going to give us that oxidation. And like I said, I want the black to show through on this because this is going to be a little bit of a grungy look. And oh, I love how this is looking already. See, I hope you can see, I hope I'm in the right place so you can see this well. I'm just looking now. Hello from Norway. It's nice to see you here watching with us. You know, I hope I'm on at the right time in the right place. I didn't think about that. I think I saw the schedule this week and I think I'm at the right place at the right time. Now I'm going to grab some of this gorgeous copper penny stencil butter and I'm going to lightly put on a few strokes of that across this gold. And I don't want to blend these together. I want them to look like they've got striations in them. And you know, you could even turn it the other way, turn it and go across this perpendicular so that you get a little bit of extra movement and action in there. And now, I'm going to grab a little bit of this turquoise. Very little bit. And I'm going to make a couple of swipes across here with this turquoise. I love creating backgrounds like this because really like it's a custom deal. Like you can't buy this paper anywhere. And I do want this to dry. So I'm going to get out my heat tool and dry this for a second. Everything that I'm using today is at kenolivercrafts.com. There's a search feature if you don't see it like right when you first check into the site. And I would urge you to sign up and create an account. Whenever you do that, you can get my updates. I send out a newsletter maybe once a month, but not always, just to let you know about any specials I have coming up. A lot of times, like if you're getting my updates, you subscribe to my newsletter, you'll know about specials and events before it goes live. Look how cool that is. So we've got that kind of shimmery look that you get from the stencil butter. And this is all very, very thin. And in fact, like, it is dry. Now we've got that beautiful shimmery layer. Isn't that pretty? And I'm going to lay my stencil on top of this. And you're probably going to think that I have lost my marbles. And that's okay, because I'm going to grab some, I meant to have this out ahead of time, but I don't. Some black tie stencil butter. And we're going to go over that whole stencil with some black tie stencil butter. And what's going to happen is you can see that the negative space of this stencil is the background and the gears are actually the positive space. So what we've made on the background will actually show through on the gears, and then all of the negative space will be black. And that just made my head hurt a little bit, like thinking about it, but it's all good. So I'm going to take this beautiful black stencil butter. And if you haven't used stencil butters before, you're in for a treat when you get your hands on these. It's like a modeling paste, but it's the consistency of like room temperature butter. It's so spreadable and delectable. You're going to love it. And it also has a little bit of a metallic sheen to it. So it's kind of shimmery whenever you put it down. And in fact, like, I think you can see the shimmer in this. See that beautiful shimmer? Isn't that pretty? So we're going to put this black tie stencil butter on top of this little gears stencil. And I think that's going to make us a really nice background for a masculine card. And I forgot to check the time whenever I stood up last, because, you know, like, once I start demoing, I'll do this all day long. Hi, Diane. Hi, Diane. How are you? Okay, so I'm still within my time, I think, because I think I've got until a quarter till. And if that's not right, sorry. I'm never sure about anything. Like, the holidays have thrown me for a loop with my parents being sick and just everything. Like, it has thrown me for a loop. I am off, and I'm kind of ready to get back to a regular schedule. So I've got that beautiful black stencil butter, and we're just going to start spreading that like a very smooth coat across. And I'm telling you, it is like butter. You know how, like, I don't know if everybody does this, but a lot of places, especially up north places, they leave their butter like on the counter. They don't put it in the fridge. If you live in the South, that sounds so weird because you're like, what? Because your butter has to stay in the fridge. But in up north places where it's cool, you can leave your butter out, and it's always the perfect spreadable consistency. And that's what this stencil butter is like. It's like your butter that's been left on the counter, and it's perfectly spreadable and delectable. And when I start talking about that, my mouth waters because who doesn't love delicious spreadable butter on their biscuits? Now I'm going to take off a little bit of the excess with my palette knife. And I'll lift up my stencil. I'm going to use the tip of my palette knife to do that. Just lift that up gently. And look how awesome that is. Isn't that beautiful? You can see the shimmer of the stencil butter in the black and in the copper, but then you've got that beautiful relief. Oh, I just love that. Now I'm going to put my stencil in my stencil bath and let that soak so we can get rid of the excess on the stencil. I'm going to clean up my knife. And I'm going to set this to a side for a second because I want to clean up my workspace. Here's a mixed media alert. Look at this wonderful coloration that we've got going on right here. If you're the mixed media type, you'd want to save this because you could put this in a journal page. You could do a lot with it. If you're a paper saver like I am. Every now and then I'll have to go through and like clear out some of the stuff and use it. You know, and you're probably thinking like, what? What do you mean you could use that in a journal? I think I can show you real quick like what I'm talking about, because I've got a couple of stencils here that I could just throw on top of this. That would make it look really cool. And these are just random. Okay, so this is dry. And they're just sitting on my workspace. And it just occurs to me that this one I think is called Believe Script. And it's like a lot of little bitty writing. And I'm going to layer a little bit on top of here just while I'm working, because I think that's going to look really nice. And let's see. Okay, so you can't really tell what the words say. They're really small. You can pick a word up every now and then in there. And I'm going to grab some black ink. And, oh, I thought I was grabbing black. I grabbed blue. I'm just going to grab StazOn because it's what's handy for me. You know how they say, like, use what you have? That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to just, like, put some wordage in here. And I'm not even going to, like, be real consistent about where or how much that I use. And there's my table shaking because I'm a very vigorous inker. That looks cool. So this is a way that you could create, like a really nice mixed media background, kind of like with stuff that you have on hand that were, that you might have thrown away. Now look how cool that is. And it can actually get cooler because I have another little stencil here that I'm going to put some extra ink on it. I'm going to just grab turquoise, and this is just because it's what I have on hand and handy. And I'm going to put some turquoise bubbles on here too. Gorgeous. That is just gorgeous. And this was something that I normally would have probably wadded up and thrown and tossed away, but because I just looked down at it, it kind of inspired me to see something different. And I'm going to take this piece of paper and make something out of it this week. I'm going to do that at Ken Oliver Crafts on Facebook. So watch my page over there because I'm really inspired by that. I don't know if you can see how cool. It looks really, really super cool. Now, I want to get back to this. So I need to dry this real quick. And I want to get this dry because I'm going to add one more layer on top of it. Then I want this bottom layer to be all the way completely and totally dry before I put anything else on it. Oops, and it's not dry. I can use it where I touched it in my mixed media piece. This is taking a little while to dry, longer than I anticipated. And normally I do like to let my pieces dry naturally so that, well, look how pretty that is. And you see that black tie stencil butter is really super shiny. It looks so cool. It's almost like a gloss effect. And to bring that down a little bit, I am going to take a brayer and we're going to mix a little bit of that light and fluffy modeling paste with some chartreuse stencil butter. And what that's going to do is, chartreuse is a gorgeous color, and chartreuse will just set our rust effect on point to perfection. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. Again, today's all about mixology and mixing, so I'm going to grab a little bit of this light and fluffy paste, and I'm going to grab a teeny bit of chartreuse, not much at all. Remember before, if we used like a pea, it was too big. And I'm going to mix that together loosely. And the other thing I'm going to do is grab my stencil. It's in the water bath right now, but I'm going to clean it so we can use it again to mask off part of our area there. And somebody was asking if the stencils clean up well with this paste. Literally, I placed this stencil in my stencil bath whenever we were finished using it. And I just grabbed it out of the stencil bath and dried it with a paper towel. And look at that. So that's how easy it is to clean up after using stencil butter. I basically just put this in a water bath. It's a little Tupperware dish of water, and then pulled it out and just wiped it dry. Now I'm going to lay my stencil back on here so that it fits, and then I'm going to grab my brayer and I'm going to brayer a little bit of that beautiful chartreuse mixture with light and fluffy, and I'm just going to do this lightly over the top so that we get some rust texture on that black. And I don't want to put a lot on there, and I also don't want to use a lot of color. You can see what's happening is my brayer is leaving a texture on top of that black with the paste that we've mixed with the butter. And it's gonna like bring out all those grungy vibes. Haha. Now look how cool that is. We've got like the texture of the modeling paste and the butter on top, and then that beautiful background of copper and turquoise and gold on the bottom. And as now, here's my stencil. You know what I could do? I'm going to try this. I'm going to just take my brayer and roll over that because I've still got stuff on my brayer. Lift that up, and then I can take my brayer and roll over this too, because that's going to give us a little bit of a top layer and a little bit of a highlight. And you know what? Trust me, watch me over at Ken Oliver Crafts on Facebook, because I'm going to use all of these. I'm going to use this to create a mixed media project. I'm going to use this piece to create a masculine card. I have these pieces to create a beautiful tropical card of some kind. And then this can also be a tropical card. So look, all of that in about 30 or 45 minutes of playtime, demo time. But really, we just played. And you know, like, you don't know this about me, but I went to a university that's a teaching college. And one of the things that we always learned at that school was that the best things you learn, anybody can learn, is whenever you have unconstructed playtime. That's why it's important to send the kids outside and let them play with sticks and paper and anything they can find. Because like, you learn the most when you have unconstructed playtime. Your brain gets in there and works and it gets all creative. And that's when you discover, that's when you make discoveries. So I'm going to turn my camera up. All right. That's my demo time for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you feel inspired to create something beautiful this weekend. And make sure that you visit me at kenolivercrafts.com, because I have all of these stencils there, plus the butters and the paste, and also those 2 big birthday bundles. The first bundle includes 5 stencils for $24.99, and the other bundle is a $65 value for $39.99, and I think that has 9 stencils in it. So thank you so much. Enjoy your day at One of a Kind, and I hope you have a fantastic crafty weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Yes, the stencils clean up with water. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.